Welcome back to the weekly vlog. It is officially the middle of the week, and I actually haven't picked my camera up until now. And there's a good reason for that. Now, if you remember a few months ago, I wrote a song as part of a song in 7 days that was called Nothing's Going On. And that vlog was basically focused around the fact that I actually had nothing to do. There was nothing on my agenda. Now, this week is the exact opposite. I have got so much to do this week that I genuinely don't know how I'm going to do it. So if you like, this vlog should be called Everything's Going On. I mean, I'm not actually going to call it that, but you get the point. And obviously those of you who watch regularly will know that I try and find a story in the week. And I'll be honest with you, it just isn't presenting itself. This week has been a series of very small, little stories accomplished in a short space of time. So, for example, I beat my 5k time. That's just a thing that I've done. I've also finished watching the 5th season of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but that's not enough to make a vlog out of, really. And all the time I'm accomplishing little writing goals with the projects that I'm working towards, but it's so hard to chart that, and I am talking about it all the time. So I thought it was better to just be honest and say, it's quite hard to vlog this week. I'm not finding a story, and I really hope that a story presents itself, but it might be that the story is that there is no story. But I figured if I turned the cameras on and started rolling, that something would come up. So welcome to another week in my life. Who knows what will happen? So one of the things that I've always thought about with writing is when people are writing something that ends up being really good, do they know that it's going to be good at that time? So recently I finished watching The Office again, the UK Office. Now the way that The Office ends, which I'm not going to spoil for you, in spite of the fact that you have had a long time to watch it, is just perfect. It pans out fantastically. Now obviously there's the context of the entire series before it, but I wonder when Ricky Gervais and Stephen Merchant were writing that, whether they knew that it would be as effective as it is. Because obviously there's always going to be a subjective element to this kind of work. Some people are going to enjoy it and some people aren't. So I know quite a few people who don't enjoy The Office generally. But to me as a series it's great. And the ending of it in particular really pulls me in. It's just a great way to round off the series. It's very conclusive, it's very satisfying, and yeah, it's just an all-round great bit of writing. And in my experience of writing so far, there is no formula for a piece of work that everyone will enjoy. That's just impossible. You're not going to please everyone. But there have been some rather contrary examples of my writing history that are good examples of the fact that there really is no formula. So for example, I wrote a song when I was 15 called He Told Me to Tell You, and it was a song that I performed with my band The Local Heroes, and it was a pastiche of an Arctic Monkeys song. It was very, very quick, and it probably took me less than an hour to write from end to end. But for some reason everybody loved it, and at the time it frustrated me because I thought, well, I didn't put any thought into this and it's just me pretending to be somebody else. But still it went down really well. Likewise, there was a song that I wrote for the group called Unpredictable Unbelievable, and with that song I actually tried to write a boring song. I deliberately wrote it as a B-side, but that became our most famous song. In fact, there's a version of it on Here of All Places if you haven't heard that. Definitely worth a listen. And likewise, there have been songs that I've poured my heart, my energy, my time into, and they just haven't had the same effect on audiences. And I remember having this discussion with my friend Sam when we were at university, and he taught me a very important lesson when it comes to this kind of thing. Because I genuinely think it's very, very hard to write something and know that it's going to please a lot of people. So the main objective should be to please yourself. But obviously that becomes quite difficult because there needs to be some kind of reward for that work that you've done. Otherwise you're going to experience an element of burnout. You're going to think, I'm putting a lot of energy into this and I'm not getting anything back. Whatever people say, it is great to have a lot of people say, I really enjoyed this piece of work that you've created. So Sam taught me a very valuable lesson. He taught me to reward myself regardless of the outcome. And he told me that when he finished a piece of work, he would actually go out and treat himself to a meal. So I now do that. I reward myself whenever I've finished a piece of work, because that way, no matter what happens, I'm satisfied with the outcome. And I genuinely think that's conducive to a good writing ethic, because that way you're not actually working towards pleasing other people, you're working towards pleasing yourself, and you always know that you're going to be satisfied because you're going to reward yourself at the end of it. So you just focus on being creative and coming up with the work. Now some of the projects that I'm working on at the moment, the deadlines and the performances are so far in the future that it's genuinely hard to imagine this work being performed. But that really doesn't matter because I'm putting these bookmarks in, I'm rewarding myself, and I'm allowing myself to move on. I also accept that the work will develop as it's going forward. So I certainly don't know whether my work will be well received, but I'm satisfied with what I'm creating, and there is nothing better than that. today is the first day of spring. And you know what? I believe them. I actually woke up in a pretty terrible mood, but I went out for a run this morning and it's just been blue skies, perfect temperature. Spring is officially here. It's amazing how much the weather can lift your mood, actually. I feel like I'm going to get a lot out of today as a result of it. So there we go. Happy first day of spring. So in continuation with the theme of the first day of spring, I've just done my first live stream of the year outside. And hopefully that's something I can continue. I definitely feel like I'm getting better at the live streams, even though I'm not actually talking to camera in them, I'm just playing in the background. But either way, there is a sense of pressure that does make it a little bit harder than just sort of playing in the studio. So, what a better location to do it on a sunny day like this. And now a beautiful evening is settling in. It really is amazing out there. It has been such a lovely day. But the thing about days like this, when you're meant to be inside working in the studio, it's so hard to actually stay and get things done. So hopefully, now the sun is going down, I'll be able to do just that. But as far as I'm concerned, spring can carry on like this. This is a good first day, good way to start off. I think we've kicked off in style. I've just realised that I'm doing something that I haven't done in a very, very long time. And I mean, like, genuinely, I don't think I've done this since I was at university. So a bit of background, a bit of context. I find composing in Sibelius quite difficult. I find it to be quite stilted, and I start thinking about things in a very linear way, and it obviously doesn't quite sound right, and it just doesn't feel like a creative process to me. It feels more like a transcription thing. And to be honest with you, I really wish that I could write in this way, because I equate this with how Mozart wrote and how many great composers would write directly to sheet music. But to be honest with you, that requires a tremendous level of commitment, and I have done that as well. I have written out music onto paper, and I just find it to be quite relaxing, but it does take me a very long time. So what I'm actually doing right now is I'm listening to something that I've made a demo of on this tape recorder, and I'm putting it into Sibelius. I'm actually transcribing it out. So it is basically done. The song is finished, but I'm putting it into sheet music form. Now the reason why I don't usually do this is because this is work that I'm not going to be performing. So with a song in 7 days, and with the songs that I write for the usual ones, or I write it down in shorthand as chords and lyrics, and I work on it at some other point with other people. But with this, one of my friends is playing the piano for it, another one of my friends is musically directing it, and they need to know what this sounds like. They need the sheet music in front of them to teach it to the cast. And I'll be honest with you, it just hasn't come up. I've been writing so much stuff for myself that I haven't needed to do this. So it's actually quite refreshing. But having said that, I was definitely in a good habit with this when I was at university, but right now I'm finding this quite challenging. I'm having to pause it basically every bar or so, get it in, then keep going back and forward. But having said that, anyone out there who writes music will know this. Seeing your own music in sheet music form is pretty magical. It's great to see something that didn't exist a few days ago appear in a sheet music form that is essentially a language. Any musician who can read sheet music can now interpret my ideas, regardless of which language they speak. It's just incredible. And to be honest with you, that is one of my favourite things about writing music. I'm finding it more important than ever to take lots of breaks. I've had a full day of writing today. I haven't had anything else on, so it's given me a good opportunity to get a lot done. But I have been stepping away when I can. Most of my breaks so far have unsurprisingly involved quite a few cups of tea, but also these chocolate eggs that I bought from Lidl, which are amazing, and I have been devouring them in vast quantities. However, I'm just about to do a slightly healthier break by meditating. And to be honest with you, I'm looking forward to this break as much as I'm looking forward to the next chocolate egg. I really feel like I need to focus. Now it's getting late here and I'm almost ready to call it a night. Part of me doesn't want to stop at all because I'm on a bit of a roll, but at the same time I'm starting to get tired. And it's made me think about what I was talking about earlier in the week, about whether you know whether you're onto something good. And what I've realised is that it doesn't really matter, because I thoroughly enjoy doing this. I love sitting down and grafting and trying to make something regardless of the outcome. And it doesn't really make any difference if I reward myself at this point. I feel rewarded by this process. And at this point, the way that the work is received doesn't seem important because I've enjoyed so much of the process. And of course there have been obstacles, of course there are going to be things that step in the way, and there are moments when I feel really frustrated with it. And more often than not, I'm able to find a way through those moments and break through. And that's where I'll leave you this week, as I tear myself away from the work knowing that I need a good night's sleep. But I'll also walk away knowing that I'm thoroughly enjoying what I'm doing at the moment, and anything else is just a bonus.